So this is a video of a Picaxe data logger. The Picaxe data logger is essentially a Casio FX 9750G type calculator. Any of the FX models will do with a serial port, and we're going to acquire data from the Picaxe and then put that into the calculator, into tables, and we're going to graph it, and we can do statistical analysis based upon that. What I'm going to show you is what it can do. I'll just rerun a graph that was doing data acquisition last night. It was taking samples every 15 minutes of a temperature, and you can see it's coming up and graphing it, and then it will just carry on from where it is. Top right hand corner will tell us when it's acquiring data. It's acquiring data now. I'll have an override on the Picaxe so I can, there we go, it's acquiring data now. Every time that flashes, it's acquiring data. I'll put my finger on the temperature gauge, and we can see it rise instantly. There we go, that's my temperature on my little finger. There we go. So how's it doing now? Let's have a look at what it's doing. We'll just abort that. I'm going to have to reset the pic, just prove it's doing funky stuff. So I've got another program I can just show you what it's doing and how it's doing that. Let's just run this program to start with. We're going to get some data from the Picaxe. It's got 24 degrees. I'll run it again. That's an integer value, and then we've got some decimal values coming back. I'll put my finger on the temperature gauge, make sure it's on the right place. Count to 5. There we go, it's a bit warmer. So what it's doing, it's acquiring data via a simple function call of the calculator. We'll look at that. I'm using one finger. It's essentially a label. We see some data. I do some manipulation on that because it can only the calculator, the pic is only handling integers, but I'm doing the maths inside the calculator. We refocus, sorry. Let's focus on the camera. There we go. Then display it on the screen. So if we exit out from that, we'll just run that again. We'll say acquired data should be 23 degrees. So it's acquiring data. So what do we do? What we do is we put that data into lists, which is like a spreadsheet, and then we can graph it through. This is the data from a previous run. And once I've got the data, I can do full statistical analysis upon it, and I can output it to my PC, because this data here I've actually blown away and restored quite easily. That's all part of the Casio, nothing I've had to do. So if I show you, we can do some other stuff. We can start a new graph. Obviously we've got different graphs. I'll focus on this one. Okay, so it's now acquiring data. That's continuing data. I'm so sorry. I'll start a new graph. There we go. It just repopulates, wipes out all the indexes. All the tables are all initialized correctly, and now it's acquiring data. The unit on the left is degrees, and we can see there from the bottom there's data coming in. I'll put your finger on the sensor. So this is acquiring samples, but once we want to change the units, we can change the units quite easily. I'm going to change it to 10 units of sample. I have to program it into a variable called Z. That's the number of units. I have to change the display. I can change the display by changing what's called the view windows to 10 as well. I just have to store that away very easily. What I've now got is 10 samples coming into the Picaxe. If I run the program, we'll see what it does when it rolls data. So I run the program, I'll acquire some new data. Probably get a com error. No, we're not going to get a com error, excellent. Refocus, there we go. Put your finger on the gauge. You can see now the units of on the x-axis are totally different. You can do all that from the calculator. At 10 units it rolls the tables, starts back at 1, regraphs. There we go. So there we got the data, there we've got the graphs. We can do the same in bar graphs. I'll abort that. Just I'll program that. Let me just see if the bar graph still works. Won't work because I've got the wrong unit set up. I'll just change the display window. I think the minimum needs to be 25. I'll store that. Exit. Try and rerun the program. Doesn't work, I'll give up. Com error, that's because I've bought it out. It's sitting there, one moment. This is acquiring 255 samples. It's hard coded, this one, it doesn't use the variable. Oh, it's doing the 10 samples, of course. Yeah. Just needs a bit of tidying on that piece of code, but we can revert back to the previous data sets. We can actually link this thing into the computer. Same cable. F2. I'm just going to restore back. I'm going to store back the data. So there, we've just received the data. So what we're just going to do, we're just going to check to make sure I've got everything set up. Sample size of 255, put that back in my variable. We're going to look at the view window. Look at the view window. Make sure that's set up correctly. We've got it set up to 0 there, but you don't really need that. We'll put that to 20, that's the minimum on the y-axis. The x-axis, we'll leave that 0. And we'll just store that away. And now we've just restored the data from the tests of last night. I'm going to take off my override and just restore that, run that again, and that's exactly where I was yesterday in collecting data. You've got the data, you can do what you like with it now. This is, well, it'll ignore my thumb, because it's actually doing sampling now, so every 15 minutes. And those commands come in from the Casio. You can send it up to 28 different commands down into the Picaxe. They're all single characters. Obviously the Picaxe can only handle integers, but that means you can do some manipulation on that. So that's the demonstration of the I'm going to show you what you can do, a little clever little thing on the Picaxe data logger. It's quite impressive actually. I should be using this quite a lot to do presentations. Cheers, thanks.